employed. 9 of the contact lens bacterial isolates were identified to the strain level, while the remaining 2 isolates were to the genus level. The bacterial isolates identified as shown on the slide. Some of these bacteria have been implicated in ocular infections, sometimes involving the cornea, resulting in keratitis, which, if properly managed, may lead to loss of sight. We therefore concluded that for management of any bacterial infection to be effective, the bacteria implicated should be clearly identified. Iyamo and Ekaise in 2021 studied the adhesion of bacteria to conventional and silicon hydrogel lenses. Bacterial adhesion to contact lenses of different materials is fundamental to the cascade of events characterizing the pathogenesis of contact lens-related microbial corneal infection termed microbial keratitis. In the sequence of events, bacterial adhesion opens the channel, decolonization flows through, leading to the invasion of the compromised epithelium down to the stromal layer of the corneal tissue by bacteria, resulting in this sight-threatening disease condition known as microbial keratitis. Bacterial adhesion experiments or assays were performed on 24, 1, and 6 of 1 soft lenses of different materials, high and low gas permeable lenses, using the strains such as Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Staphylococcus aureus. These strains were used because they have been most implicated in positive culture associated with contact lens-induced bacterial keratitis. We found that Pseudomonas aeruginosa adhered in increased number to 1 than 1 Nutrafficon A and conventional lenses. However, a higher number of Pseudomonas aeruginosa adhered to 1 than 1 Nutrafficon B. The difference in male adhesion was not significant. Staphylococcus aureus adhered in significantly decreased number to 1 Nutrafficon A, Neficon A, Mesoficon A, Etafficon A, and Onaficon A. But significantly higher number adhered to 1 than 1 polymicron. Lenswear had no effect on adhesion of Staphylococcus aureus to Nutrafficon B. The least adhesion of Pseudomonas aeruginosa to 1 contact lenses was shown with polymicron, while Staphylococcus aureus adhered in least number to 1 Nutrafficon A compared to other contact lens materials that demonstrated same trend in adhesion. Lenswear significantly reduced the numbers of Staphylococcus aureus adhesion to silicone hydrogel and HEMA-based lenses. The reduction in adhesion of bacterial load was due to absorbed lysozyme, which is present in high concentration in TFA. Lysozyme is a potent antimicrobial enzyme against gram-positive bacteria. It exerts its bactericidal effect by catalytic hydrolysis of the peptidoglycan component of the cell wall. This is done by breaking the beta-1,4 glycosidic bond of the oxygen bridge between the repeating glycan units of the N-acetyluramic acid and N-acetylglucosamine. With the split open of the peptidoglycan cover of the cell wall, the bacteria is no longer able to contain its high internal osmotic pressure with its plasma membrane alone, and it burst open. We concluded that lenswear has different effects on bacterial adhesion, which may be due to the type of lens materials, bacterial species of genera studied. The higher adhesion of Pseudomonas aeruginosa to 1 lenses is consistent with the claim that it is the most predominant in all culture-positive contact lens-related microbial keratitis. Finally, Iyamo and Ahmed in 2004 investigated the common causes of blindness in northwestern Nigeria. Clinic records were obtained from the hospital records of in-and-out patients seen in the eye clinic of Usman Danfodio University Teaching Hospital, Sokoto. A total of 475 cases were selected from the pool of 3,875 cases seen within the period of 10 years. That is from 1992 to 2001. Table 3 shows the age distribution of the blind cases. The causes of blindness from our findings are presented in Table 4. Cataract accounted for 51.3%, primary open angle glaucoma for 10.73%, corneal diseases 9.47%, trauma 6.74%, retinoblastoma and staphyloma 3.58% each. All the causes of cataract could not be ascertained from the records. However, a few were due to trauma and congenital factors. Others may have been due to advancing age, diabetes, and hereditary factors. The vast majority of the world's blind live in developing countries like Nigeria, where infections, malnutrition, and lack of eye care give rise to a high proportion of blindness, particularly in rural populations, in contrast to industrialized countries, where blindness is due mainly to degenerative and metabolic disorders related to aging. WHO 1997. First and foremost, I give all the glory to God Almighty, the one that is upholding, maintaining, sustaining, and propelling the universe by the word of his power. Thank you, Lord, for the gift of life. I thank you, King of Kings, immortal, invisible, the only true and wise God. Be you all the glory, honor, and praise and adoration forever for all the great things you have done and are still doing in my life as I deliver this 261st inaugural lecture today. I want to specially thank the Vice Chancellor of this great institution, Professor Mrs. L.I. Salami, for the enabling environment and good working relationship for teaching and research advancement in the University of Benin, and for approving this lecture which is being held. I also want to appreciate the Vice Chancellor Management Team, Professor Mrs. Adesua Osaho, DVC Administration, Professor D. Izeko, DVC Academics, Professor J. Okene, DVC Ekewan Campus, Mr. A. Obola, Registrar, Mr. Dr. V. Imagbe Bosa, Dr. N. Obasui, Librarian. I want to appreciate Professor G. Oshodi, former Vice Chancellor, who announced my associate professorship, and Professor F.F.O. Omesi, who announced my professorship. I deeply appreciate my father, Joseph Osamore Yamu, of blessed memory, my mother, Mrs. Patricia Yamu, who at the time left Benin City to the village to engage in farming activities in order to get me through my first degree in the university. I also appreciate my siblings, Mrs. Stella Ibenomaya, Mr. Elvis Yamu, Mr. Kevin Yamu, Mrs. Abewa Ojo, Mr. Charles Yamu, Ogogo Yamu, my brothers-in-law, my childhood friends, Dr. Edgar Ekure, Dr. Bright Onamore, Dr. P.N. Okoye, and as well as my class of 1992. I think they are ably represented here. And also Niger College Old Students Association. I think they are here. Morning session, they are here. They are here for me today. They are here for me today. I thank them for coming. I also want to appreciate my academic father in the house, Professor N.U. Egafona. He's my academic father. He took me through the tutelage of preparing manuscript for publication. And he has constantly been watching over me and watching me grow. I appreciate you, Daddy, for giving me wonderful instruction to continue to advance in my academic career. I also want to thank Professor Mrs. O.I. Inagural, my academic mother. When you have a father and a mother in the academics, you will never go astray. I also want to appreciate my dean, Professor N.E.J. Owe, the dean to beat. Come and ask me questions, I will tell you the reason why that name is given to him. I also want to appreciate my HOD, Professor Mrs. F.K. Idu, who is always there for us. We appreciate you seriously. We appreciate you for taking the mantle of leadership. I also want to thank Professor Mrs. Obi Ajayi, who is always there for me, helping me with what next to do. I want to appreciate Mr. M. Obie, Deputy Registrar, Senate Matters, members of the Applied Environmental Bioscience and Public Health Research Group. I celebrate you. I also want to appreciate the members of the Association of Nigerian Optometric Educators. I also want to appreciate members of the executive members and consultants of the Nigerian College of Optometrists. Most of them are here this evening, of which Professor F.K. Idu is the registrar of that great institution. I want to thank Professor F.A. Professor Frederick Osaro Ekasi, my friend, my brother, my PhD supervisor, who worked round the clock to see to it that the impediment on my way to my full professorship was cleared all the way through qualitative, purposeful, dynamic supervision and timely defense of my thesis that led to the award of my PhD degree, the launching pad of where I am today, in spite of self-inflicted 8 years of stagnation as an associate professor. I thank you, my brother, and there is nothing you can do about it. I also want to thank and appreciate Professor Eno Oriowo, my mentor, a dedicated, passionate friend, brother, and colleague in Unilori. My special thanks also go to Dr. Joe Obier Unique Eye Center, Dr. N. Okorafor, True Vision and Nationwide, and Dr. K. Okocha Day Spring Eye Center, and many more. I wish to sincerely appreciate my pastor, Pastor Stephen Ilori, State Pastor Living Faith Church, Edo State Headquarters, Pastor Emmanuel Ibe, Assistant Resident Pastor, then all the pastoral assistants, Pastor Hodge Ajayi, former manager UBA, Barrister Orobosa Okumbo in the State Council, Pastor Kennedy Osifo, Pastor Glory Okoduwa, Pastor Fosho Akinjo, and a host of others. I appreciate you all. I want to especially celebrate Dr. Mrs. Joy Edo Oyamu, my lovely wife, my best friend, my companion, my front drink, my left vegetable, a virtuous woman, a hope giver, focused and divinely endowed to give my life to you. I love you, my dear wife, and companion for life. Thank you, my lovely children, Daniel Sam, Osahelu and Faith Osahelu, my jewels of inestimable values, for adding indescribable, inexplicable, unfathomable values to my life. Recommendation. The Nigerian government should take practical steps towards aligning the strategies for the prevention of blindness and visual impairments, including strengthening of human resources and use of low-cost appropriate technologies to increase affordability of healthcare delivery, which should be incorporated into the general healthcare services at the local, state, and national levels. Actions should be taken by the government and eye professionals to prevent and manage the causes of blindness and visual disability in order not to become a public health issue. Reasonable hygiene is recommended to keep pathogens away, especially bacteria from the eyes, which have been implicated in culture-positive bacterial keratitis, such as Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Staphylococcus aureus. Any noticeable or slightest change in the clarity, comfort of vision should be reported to the eye care practitioner as soon as possible, because dependent, if not on time and quite early too. Madam Vice Chancellor, my research ecclesia, as captured in this lecture, is centered on maintaining good eye health and quality vision care. The early identification and diagnosis of some diseased conditions can play in avoiding further deterioration to preserve attainable vision. Understanding the interaction between microorganisms and contact lenses, hygiene and successful lens wear will also highlight the promotion of good eye health and vision care. This lecture, The Eye and Vision, How Healthy, the Optometrist Perspective, is focused on promoting good eye health and functional vision and optimal visual performance by fostering of avoidable visual disability. Early identification and diagnosis of some conditions combined with appropriate management can play a vital role in avoiding any form of deterioration to preserve attained vision. Rehabilitation of persons with visual disabilities and impairments is costlier than preventing the causes of avoidable disability. Prevention is better than cure. Sustainable, comprehensive, quality services for qualitative eye care, eye health care are an integral component of healthcare. The optometrist, who is a primary health care provider, is poised with the responsibility of ensuring that persons with disability that may engender quality eye health and functional vision, optimal visual performance are promptly diagnosed, managed to ensure that the fundamental function of the eye, which is clarity and comfortable vision, is sustained most of the time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you. Please be seated. Please, I want the attention of those serving refreshment that will have refreshment for now. Then, when the list of recognition is on, you can continue serving refreshment. Please, all forms of refreshment service should stop now. Thank you. May I now invite the Vice Chancellor to do a recap of the lecture. The Vice Chancellor, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will all agree with me that Professor Yamo did justice to that lecture. Can we give him another round of applause, please? So my job is not going to be difficult at all because I'm also an eye care practitioner. I'm an ophthalmologist, an eye surgeon. So we value the eyes a lot, and the eyes are quite precious and very delicate. So it is so important that we take care of our eyes. Because there is a saying in Benin that says, Aragbao Oseri Owa. Beauty is gone. So Professor Iyamu, I'll just go ahead and summarize this lecture. The eye is considered as a radiant energy detector whose wavelength response is strictly between 400 and 800 nanometers. It is our organ of sight. Vision, which is the fundamental function of the eye, is the process whereby absorption of photons in the retina is transiently translated into an electrical signal that is ultimately transmitted to the brain and interpreted as a visual image. The research findings reported in this lecture, the eye and vision, how healthy, the optometrist perspective, are directed towards maintaining highly visually efficient eyes to ensure variables such as corneal thickness, anterior chamber depth, lens thickness, vitreous chamber depth, as well as the intraocular pressure was to synthesize the understanding of the normal ocular physiology and any deviation from the norm. Professor Yamu emphasized the fact that contact lens wear may be associated with contact lens-induced infection. I know a lot of young ladies now wear colored contact lenses as part of being fashionable. They wear lenses to match their clothing. I think having listened to Professor Yamu's lecture, you now realize that you could be so much harm to your eyes because you can contract an infection which may be intractable and difficult to treat. So you have to be cautious when wearing cosmetic contact lenses. Factors that may help in the early diagnosis and identification of those at a higher risk of attention, threat to the eye. indulgence in some habits like cigarette smoking, smokeless tobacco, which is snuff, which have adverse effects on tear film quality and quantity, leading to dry eye complications, characterized with conjunctival hyperemia, discomfort, and xerosis. He emphasized that rehabilitation of the visually impaired or disabled persons is costlier than prevention. The common saying, prevention is better and cheaper than cure. So you have to prevent all these eye issues. It's easier and better to prevent them. The optometrist, who is a primary eye care provider, is trained to promote good eye health and optimal vision by fostering prevention of causes of avoidable visual disabilities. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. We have gradually come to the high point of this event, and it is the official decoration of the inaugural lecturer, and he is to be joined off stage by members of his immediate family. Lecturer, sir. Please, members of his immediate family, you have to join him on stage. His wife and children only. While the decoration is ongoing, I want to quickly recognize the presence of some distinguished persons in our midst. In no particular order, I want to welcome Professor Emeritus Raymond Elaho. Sir, you are welcome. Professor Nosa Egafona, Professor S.E. Orobato, Professor Mike Omo Berale, Professor Mrs. E.U. Edosoma, you are welcome. Professor Mrs. F.I. Okunbawa, you are welcome. Professor Kadiri, you are welcome, ma'am. Professor Mrs. Olajire Ajayi, Professor E.O. Professor Jennifer Ebebe, you are welcome, ma'am. Professor E.O. Ayowuyi, you are welcome. Professor Kadiri, you are welcome. Professor Mrs. Idu, you are welcome, ma'am. Please let's keep clapping as you are introduced to recognizing them. Professor Dr. Obona O.S., Dr. N. Okorafo, Dr. Mrs. N. Musa, Dr. C. Timothy, Dr. E.S. Odimogo, Dr. R.E.U. Akpalaba. We also have the chairman of University of Benin alumni. He is Dr. A. Sambetsin, you are welcome. Pastor E. Godwin, Pastor Japhet Emma Kunu, Pastor Nosa Idiaru, Mrs. Osipo B.E. from PPEB, Post-Primary Education Board, Dr. Barrister Nosa Omorabon, you are welcome. Charles Iyamo, you are welcome. And the last but not the least, Mrs. Joy Ojo, you are welcome. Thank you so much. Once again, on behalf of our ebullient Vice Chancellor, Professor Lillian Inwetiyan Salami, I want to thank you all for coming to honor us, honor the lecturer, and I wish you all safe journey back to your respective destination. Thank you so much. We have come to a close, but we will have to rise to take the second stanza of the national anthem. But before that, we'll take the Uniben anthem. Thank you so much. Please let's be upstanding to take the Uniben anthem. Thereafter, we'll take the second stanza of the national anthem. Thank you. the acting Vice Chancellor and other members of the Vice Chancellor's possession exit the hall. Thank you.